Captain's log, stardate 95670.87. This is Admiral Candy Marino of the USS Winchester. And we just got a message from the Defiri about the Breen attacking civilian ships. The Breen, one of the greatest mysteries of the galaxy. How do they operate? What lies beyond those helmets? Why do they look like something out of a Star Wars holo novel? Now's my chance to find out. So I had the Winchester go to the VZA-4001 system and investigate what's going on. Well, wouldn't you know, Chris picked up a distress call from a Defiri freighter. Then Elisa chimed in by pointing out the whole Starfleet distress call regulation, how we have to help. Distress call or not, this was my chance to solve the mystery of the Breen. My one shot, and I was going to take it. It took me a while to get out of warp, but we finally got to where the action was. I have to say, for a mysterious species only known for conquest, the Breen don't really put up that much of a fight. It only took a few seconds for the Winchester to wipe them out. Maybe they only pick on the weak. Anyway, the Sabak thanked us for our assistance and told us about how they took extra precautions, such as a microwarp jump and using the magnetic field of the comet to hide. Yet the Breen still managed to find them. Seriously, these guys are good, but why would they go to all this trouble for a measly little freighter? Before I could think about it too deeply, the Sabak told us about the Paktua, which is their sister ship, and asked us to check up on it. I told Sabak that odds are the Paktua was destroyed with its most able crew abducted and enslaved. Sabak got mad, demanding to know why I'd say that. And I pointed out that it wasn't that hard to figure out. The Breen were relentless in their pursuit of the Sabak, so if the Sabak can't reach them, then the Breen... Chris interrupted me before I could finish and said that we do our best to find the sister ship. I cut the communications and remarked that it was a creative way to undermine the captain. Chris lowered his voice, reminding me that the Sabak just lost their sister ship with no clue regarding what's happened to them. So it wouldn't kill me to show a little compassion. I asked Chris if showing compassion was going to help me find the Paktua. Chris didn't respond, and that was when we picked up the Paktua's distress call. Apparently, they just needed some replacement parts to prevent a warp core breach. Yet I knew this wouldn't be just your average run-of-the-mill rescue mission. It was too close to the first Breen attack, so I already ordered that the ship go to red alert right after beaming over the supplies. I was right, because as soon as we beamed those parts over, Breen ships ambushed the Winchester. The first two went down like that, but the second one put up more of a fight. Eventually, we destroyed all of the ships, and the Paktua rewarded us with information on the Breen slavers. Apparently, they heard a couple of the raiders talking about the Zarya system. Zarva scanned it herself and found nothing more than a broken planetoid. I told Zarva that the scans were false. And when she asked me why, I told her that it was obvious that the Breen would not go to this much trouble over a broken planetoid. So I ordered the Winchester to fly there immediately. Good thing I did, because that so-called destroyed planet had a dilithium-rich core, as Zarva pointed out, admitting that the scans from earlier were wrong, just like I predicted. The Breen themselves even used the Defiri they captured as slave labor. Not the first time they've pulled trash like this. And I think Starfleet installed a voice filter on the log system because I didn't say trash. Anyway, the Breen stationed ships around the planet intent on setting up a new mining operation, but the Winchester took care of them. She might be small, but she's tough. After that, we still had to beam down to the planet and destroy the transporter inhibitor the Breen kept in place. The one Elisa discovered before we beamed down. We found ourselves in a cargo storage area and saw that they had the Defiri laborers in prison cells. I guess this is the Breen's idea of taking a 15. Chris pointed out that the Breen were using 3 separate transport disruptors that are keyed to Defiri physiology. It's why the Breen can beam in and out, and why the disruptors didn't stop us from transporting in. If you ask me, that's a really huge oversight on the Breen's part, letting the enemy right into their base, but they had to be smarter than this. Unless they stupidly believed that they could take down any intruder, no problem. Then Chris told me that we need to neutralize the Breen guards before destroying the disruptors. Thanks for pointing that out, Captain Obvious. Sarva took the time to examine the cells and said what Chris already told us. Then she told us that there are other Teferi life signs on other levels, and I immediately figured out that the levels were all connected by the same mechanism. Strictly amateur hour. I expected more from the Breen. So my away team and I went through the hallways and ended up fighting group after group of Breen, disabling each transporter inhibitor on the way. After that was done, Sarva pointed out that a new Breen beamed on the planet. According to her, we aroused suspicion from the Breen commander by freeing their captives. You mean the Breen don't like people beaming onto their bases and sabotaging their prisons? What a shock! Now all we had to do was check on the Teferi captives, and the only thing preventing that was a force field, which I easily deactivated, and we inspected the now empty cells. Chris told us that all of the Teferi prisoners transported safely, and claimed that we could return to the Winchester. Well, he was about to until we got a message from Thought Trell. You wouldn't believe what that jerk said to me, and so help me, I'm getting this freaking filter off the log system if it freaking kills me! Anyway, Thought Trell went on about how I'm not impressive and called me insignificant. Me? Insignificant? Then he had the nerve to claim that his little henchmen should have no problem taking care of me. I'd like to see the look on his face when I kick their sorry little behinds. Anyway, Trell sent Thought Gran and his henchmen after us thinking we were easy prey. Me and my away team took out the guards first, and then dealt with Gran. Hey, you want to beat the big boss, you've got to take care of the small fry first. I'll admit, he did put up a bit of a fight, but insignificant little me won, and we beamed back to my ship. Elisa immediately began celebrating about how the whole mining operation fell apart. Then she started speculating about who sent the message, and how we'll need to look into this in more detail. She told me that Starfleet will either send patrols to make sure this doesn't happen again, or the Teferi will mine dilithium here for themselves. Honestly, I don't give a trash. I just want to find out what the Breen are up to, why they're so obsessed with the Teferi, and what they're going to such lengths to find. Chris would probably tell me that they just wanted to enslave people to mine dilithium for them, but there are thousands of other planets where you can mine dilithium, and they're usually not this obsessed with attacking and enslaving one specific species like this. The Breen target the weak, like unsuspecting ships or fallen civilizations. They make sure that they've got the upper hand. As soon as we left, Ambassador Sura hailed us, claiming that the survivors are on their way home and they want to mine dilithium for themselves. Then he talked about considering a joint operation with the Federation and sharing the resources with us. Considering how savage the Breen have been acting, they might need the Federation. The ambassador ended up thanking us and telling us that our actions helped preserve the balance. It's a big day for Star Wars references. After this, I ended up getting myself a huge promotion. You're looking at Vice Admiral Candy Marino.